Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. I'm going to the community page here. Question from Janetta Hill. Should the people start focusing on Kamala and stop giving Trump the time of day? That's an interesting question. Part of this channel's mission is to, steady the boat for when things cause anxiety. And Donald Trump is a chaos agent who often causes a lot of anxiety in the collective. And a lot of my readings are to sort of bring the temperature down or reassure people that we'll get through this and we're going to be okay. Which oftentimes my message also includes, so make sure you're registered to vote. Double check your registration. Make sure like-minded friends are registered to vote and they check their registrations and get out and vote. Vote early as you can. If you can hand it into the county registrar's office, go for it. Secure Dropbox, great. If you're going to mail it, make sure you got enough postage on it. That sort of thing. Now, it's an interesting thing about asking about focusing on Kamala and not focusing on Trump. If Trump becomes irrelevant, he doesn't need to be around anymore. Probably, if we're going to look at this from a spiritual point of view, that Trump is providing a spiritual message for us, then if we're still focusing on him, we haven't learned that lesson, and then he's just going to hang around continuing to do his shenanigans. If we move past it and focus on joy and not going back like Kamala's message is, Trump's irrelevant. I can assure you, Trump's biggest fear is him becoming irrelevant. Not being talked about, nobody caring about what he's doing. He's just a giant attention grabber. He needs all the attention, all the oxygen in the room. Imagine if nobody paid heed to him, if he was perfectly shunned. He wouldn't know what to do with himself. I did a reading with Gary. It's like, one thing Trump can't do, he cannot sit in a quiet room and read a book. I don't think he is physically capable of doing that, because he wouldn't be getting all this adulation from outside. He'd be quiet. He probably would, melt or something like that. I don't know. But let's ask Spirit. What happens? What will happen if we start focusing on Kamala? What's the energy be like if we focus on the joy and the positivity that Kamala is bringing? And then we'll do another reading on what will happen to Trump if we're focusing on Kamala. Okay? Entertainment purposes only. All right. Let's go ahead and bring this down. A little extra shuffling here. What happens if we just focus on Kamala? What's the energy like if we do that? Knight of Pentacles. We start bringing our values forward. We start concerning about ourselves about what's valuable, what's important to us. Opportunities start moving. My Kamala Harris card, the Knight of Coins. You start appreciating all the good things you have. And when you appreciate the good things you have, you get more abundance that comes from this. Underneath it all is the heartbreak and the betrayal. Your life experiences shape who you are. And we'll never get through life without heartbreak, failure, disappointment, anguish, things along those lines. But it would be like Kamala's mother. She would say, if something went wrong, the mother wouldn't allow them to have a pity party. She would ask them, well, what are you going to do about it? And if you stop focusing on the heartache of what you've lost and start focusing on what your values are, you move forward through this. In the past, you got the Moon card here. Focusing on Kamala. It's the mystery. It's interesting. When's the last time people focused on being happy? focused on being joyful, focused on looking for the positives in life and doing things better. It's like, it's this simple lesson that's been masked for a really long time. I think we could have gotten there, I believe, with Obama, but he was busy fixing the broken country from the economic collapse in 2006 and 2007, or 2007 leading in through 2008. And I don't think he had much of a chance to do that, but we're getting that chance now. Life is challenging. Our current situation in life is challenging. We don't know how this election is going to turn out, and that causes anxiety. And it's a lot of work to maintain your democracy, but it's work worth doing. If you've got your values and you have your appreciation, you may not know what the outcome of your work's going to be, but the work has to be done. It's fruitful labor in this case. The overarching energy is the Queen of Swords. If you focus on Kamala and focus on joy, you'll be able to do the work, and it makes it easier because it simplifies things. Look, if you don't do the work, you're not going to get the rewards. The work is worth the rewards that you do on it. Now, the balance here with this also is it may not look like the way you think it's going to look, but that doesn't mean you don't get there. It just means it may not look the way you think it's going to look, because you may not understand your idea of what's really good is in a small sphere. You don't see the bigger picture. Maybe what's really good doesn't look like that because on a bigger picture, the different look is better in the long run. Lesson to be learned is the Knight of Wands. You got to carry this burden, and you got to just keep moving it forward. Just like you got to know what your values are, and then take action to move those values forward. Outcome is the Two of Coins. When you're moving your values forward, you start getting choices on your values, and you start having more values that you have to balance. And it's kind of like which value do you want to move forward first? Which is your most important values? And it's prioritizing your values. All the values are important. All should be brought forward, but there's only so many you can advance at any given time. And kind of with this one, what might be valuable to some people may not be as valuable to others. That doesn't mean what you value isn't important. It's just, there's only so much you can do, right? So get on board and get on there. And I think that's the energy about focusing on Kamala is not going back. We're gonna progress. We're gonna move forward with it. And a lot of people in this country have their ideas of what values should go first. Not everybody can go first. You got to go through the door one at a time, right? And if the doors can be thrown up and wider, you could go through 2 or 3 people at a time. But, you can't all go through at the same time. It's just not going to happen. Okay. What happens to Trump if we stop focusing on the negativity and the anger and the animosity and the outrage and the othering of people and all the negativity and isolationism that Trump brings to folks, the unhappiness that he espouses? What happens if you ignore him? What happens if you ignore all that darkness, all that low energy stuff? What happens to him if you just go to joy and ignore the low energy stuff? Nine of Wands. What happens is he starts looking for the energy because he starts missing it. he needs the energy of others because he can't generate it himself. And, this guy is suddenly very much alone if he's ignored. If you don't pay him attention, he's wandering around, where did everybody go? This is like if you've ever had one of those dreams where you're in a crowded area and then you go to another room or something like that, and then it's just empty and there's nobody there, and you go back to the room where it was crowded and it's empty. I used to have dreams like that when I be on the schoolyard and all the kids are playing, and then you got there and it's gone. There's no kids left in the school and you're wondering where everybody went. It's kind of like that. It's, where did everybody go? Where's all the energy? And then you have to go looking for it. And they don't know how to look for things. Decisions. Again, with if you have a choice to give these folks energy or to not give them energy. In the past, the Four of Wands, look at all these fire energy cards. Ignoring Trump takes the flames right out from underneath him, takes all the energy out of his battery. There's nothing fueling it. In the past, with the Four of Wands, dividing up the camps. Either you're in the wedding or you're out. It's kind of that Two of Swords. You're in it or you're not in it, and you're giving a lot of energy to people that don't know how to do their own energy. If you focus on Kamala and you ignore Trump, it brings him to an end. And that's what's happening right now. We're seeing it play out with the DNC versus the RNC. And seeing all the positive energy that's going with the DNC, and more people are drawn to that. It draws the energy out of the RNC. Again, if you haven't seen it, look it up. You can just do a YouTube search, RNC versus DNC 2024. And they'll do a comparison video of announcing the counting of the roll or things along those lines. And you can see the energy and the enthusiasm difference between the two parties. Which one do you want to be on? If you focus on the positive and what's going to happen to Trump, if you focus on the positive, it exposes him and exposes his movement as being lifeless. They've got no path forward. They don't know what to do. They only know how to other people, but they don't know how to do anything else. Oh, geez. The lesson to be learned is they've lost their way with their values. And here's it. If you walk away from Trump has been telling these folks what their values are. But what Trump tells them as their values aren't really their values. When I've watched a number of people say, give an example, and I've read on this too. If you talk with Republican voters or even MAGA voters about programs that the Democrats champion, but you don't say the Democrats champion that. It's like, would you be supportive of less expensive health care? Would you be supportive of lowering grocery prices? Whatever it is, job protection, stuff like that. The Republicans generally agree with them. It's only when you say, Nancy Pelosi wanted to do this, or Joe Biden wanted to do this, then they're like, oh, well, you said the magic word, and I know if it's Joe Biden, I don't want it. It could be, we're going to give you clean water and puppies to play with. But if Joe Biden said it, well, I love dirty, polluted water, and I hate puppies. I kick them every chance I get. It's that sort of thing because they've been trained like that. But if you take out the names, all of a sudden they tend to support the programs that the Democrats champion. So if you take away the energy from Trump, instead of the conservatives or the MAGA folks or whoever being told what their values are, they have to figure out their values and move forward with their own values. And it's been a long time since they've done that. They don't know their values anymore. They're so used to being told. You take away the energy to Trump, what starts happening is the have-nots, if you will, start uniting in their values because our values are similar. It's just that really wealthy people have gotten the left and the right fighting with each other. It's not a left-right fight. It's a elite versus non-elite fight. And if you can focus on hope, you get rid of these false values that have been implanted into people, and they start coming up with their own values, and then legislation passes to support those values, and people's energy starts increasing. They start getting more optimistic and less angry because they've got some hope and some optimism for themselves and for their kids, for the next generation. I mean, we all basically want the same thing in the end. You know, we want the ability to live our lives. We want our ability to live our lives. We want some leisure time. We want some comfort. We want to be able to make our decisions on things. We don't want to have to struggle too mightily. You know, we want to be able to take a vacation. Want to be able to have some nice things. Want to be able to go do things. We want life better for our neighbors, for ourselves and our neighbors, for our kids. We want things a little bit easier for the next generation. You know, it's not these major abstract concepts. It's just like, you know, leaving the place a little bit better than you found it. And just leaving all the anger of, well, it was miserable for me, so it has to be miserable for other people. That's kind of the message they've been ingesting with it. And if you ignore Trump and get rid of that message, it's, if I work, I can make my life better, and then my kids' can work, and they can make their lives even better still because they started at a higher platform. That sort of thing. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.